I just got out of a midnight showing of Deadpool and Wolverine. This is my second time seeing it. At first, online, my initial reaction was that this film had no rewatchability, that it didn't have replay value, and I disagree. I actually enjoyed this a whole lot better on the second viewing when I knew what was going to happen than the first viewing when I thought the jokes were just a little too juvenile for me. Going in, I thought that this would be full of action sequences. It has a lot of action, but it sacrifices a lot of action too for comedy bits. It punches down on Marvel 20th Century Fox, which was the funniest thing that I've seen in the movie, that bit, which I'll get into. It punches down, it's self-deprecating, and sometimes I found the jokes to be, I should say, oftentimes I found the jokes to be juvenile. This is a rated R film. And so I love that it is uncensored in that way, but it is not absent of these juvenile jokes. Is it okay? Sure. If you are a pedestrian Marvel fan or superhero fan, this probably isn't going to be for you. I think this is fan service. The fans of Deadpool, Wolverine, Logan, specifically X-Men, they're going to likely love this film. But if you're looking, like if you just want to go to see Hugh Jackman shirtless, you'll get a couple of scenes. But I think this is for the fans to revive this phase of Marvel. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. I'm on the fence. At any rate, it's okay. I saw it twice. Again, I enjoyed the second viewing because I knew it was going to happen. And I love, one in particular, a cameo that I absolutely love. And I love what the cameo says. I'm going to spoil that later. Oscar-nominated director Shawn Levy directed this film. He's also a credited writer. There are 5 total credited screenwriters on this project. Shawn Levy directed episodes of Stranger Things, The Brilliant, The Arrival. He directed Cheaper by the Dozen, the remake, which we'll forget about. He directed The Adam Project on Netflix, which I actually liked because I liked the concept of the film. But my favorite film that he directed was my favorite film during the pandemic that I saw in the theater, which was Free Guy. That film has so much rewatchability. It was funny, even on the second and third viewing. I like that. And a lot of that humor, if you've seen Free Guy, is in this film. If you like Free Guy, maybe you'll respond to the comedy in this film. Now, this again is rated R. Ryan Reynolds goes there. He breaks the fourth wall and speaks directly to the viewer to unbuckle because he is unapologetic in this self-deprecating humor. It is not censored. It is very sexually explicit, not suggestive. It is sexually explicit and provocative, and it's rampant with sexual innuendo that is unapologetic. If you're sensitive to that type or brand of humor, then you might not like it here because it is rapid fire. It's those jokes continuously throughout the runtime of this film. Who's in it? Of course, Ryan Reynolds plays Wade Wilson and Deadpool. Hugh Jackman plays Logan and Wolverine. Rob Delaney plays Peter. Leslie Uggams plays Blind Owl. Matthew McFadden plays Mr. Paradox. And Emma Corrin plays Cassandra. And then there are quite a bit of cameos. So what's this about? First of all, I think you have to at least be familiar with Deadpool and some of the Marvel universe to understand a lot of what's going on. I think you will have at least needed to see Deadpool, the first one. This is servicing fans of Marvel, fans of the Sony superheroes or 20th Century Fox. It's servicing existing fans. So you may need to at least understand the world. So I'll tell you the overarching premise of the story. Some of the story gets lost in the middle because this production was halted due to the writer's strike and the actor's strike. They had to do some reshooting and that whole bit. So it gets lost in the middle. But the overarching story, this is centered around Wade Wilson, who is abducted from his world because he serves a greater purpose outside of his world. His world is no longer needed because he is not the anchor person, Logan is. And Logan is dead. And so since their anchor person, Logan, is dead, the world doesn't need to exist anymore. He's not okay with that. He loves the people in his world and wants to save it. And so he goes on this mission to find the Logan that exists, or the Wolverine that exists in his world. And it goes through all of these beats that are really funny, trying to find the right Logan. And once he finds the right Logan, they go on this mission to try to save his world and the people in it. Matthew McFadden plays Mr. Paradox, and he's the one who thinks that for the greater good, Wade Wilson's world, it needs to cease to exist. It gets lost with Emma Corrin's storyline in this wasteland. There's a really funny bit, quite a few funny bits in this section, but you can just tell that this was the interruption because of the strikes. That's really the overall story, bare to its bones. A lot of what's going on, it's really just about a multiverse of madness. Okay, let me get into Jon Favreau's micro cameo. It's in the beginning of the film. My first time I saw this, I was like, this is just a wasted scene because we don't get anything but a photo of Iron Man. I like the significance, though, of Jon Favreau. Well, he plays Happy Hogan. I love the second time seeing it. I love that it was pivotal to Deadpool, or Wade Wilson, I'll say, because he wants to help. He wants to be an Avenger. He wants to make a bigger impact because he feels like his life doesn't have significant meaning. He blames his girlfriend, but he wants to matter. And so he meets with him, and Happy Hogan, who was Iron Man's chauffeur before, became something significant in that world, that universe. And so my second viewing, I understood why that cameo was important to the story. The first time I thought it was wasted, because if you're not going to have Iron Man, then why are we here? But on the second viewing, I got a clear understanding of why he was there. Then you have the big cameos. Jennifer Garner as Elektra. It was good seeing her suit up. She didn't have a really big role. I mean, again, it felt like reshoots, but Channing Tatum plays a character I had absolutely no idea who he was. Maybe it's a new character, I don't know, but his accent was so funny. Every line he said was so hilarious. Daphne King plays Laura in X-23. She's the kid that Logan saves, or Wolverine saves in Logan. So Henry Cavill has a really micro cameo, but it was so funny because Deadpool, I can't separate Ryan and Deadpool and Wade. So Ryan, he breaks I don't know, maybe you don't know, but he breaks the fourth wall a lot. And he breaks the fourth wall making fun at DC because of how they did Henry Cavill. It was rumored that he was coming back to play Superman, and he all but confirmed it with an online post. And then he had to say, okay, so I'm not coming back after all. Like, how they did him is just justice for Henry Cavill. He has a micro cameo, and the crowd went wild. But it was so small, but he looked so good, even though they didn't like him well. He looked so good. And Chris Evans makes a cameo as Human Torch. He electrified a part of the film it was sort of lagging, and so to see him make a cameo really did put more spark in the film. It's in the wasteland section of the film, which I thought was just, I don't know, it just took down the energy of the film. In the wasteland portion, making fun of Fury Road and Furiosa and the Thunderdome and that whole, Mad Max, I'll say. And so it kind of dragged it a little bit, but my favorite is Wesley Snipes as Blade. And I love what he says. There's a line of dialogue that he says, there's only been one Blade and there'll never be another one. I could have fainted. Because it's true. I think Blade is cursed. That's why they can't get the writing right, the directing right, the shooting, pre-production, like all of that is a mess, a disaster, because there's only one Blade. The biggest issue I had is that it wastes so much time in the wasteland with Emma Corrin's character. I mean, it pays off in the end, but it takes a long time to get to the end. And even Ryan Reynolds' character, Deadpool, I'll say, he even acknowledges, he's like, hang on, we're about to close this out because they know it's going on too long. I think that was just so much wasted time. Now, there are some really good action sequences in that bit, but it just seemed like a joke that overstayed its welcome. Here's the thing, I saw it twice. When I see it again, maybe, because the energy in this midnight screening, it was really good. People had a really good time with the film. The first time, it wasn't the same. The energy was just different the second time. And so it feels like people are going to love this. Do I think it's going to make $1 billion at the box office? At first, well, the first time I saw it, I didn't think it would. The second time, because of that energy, people are really, really into it. I don't know if it'll make $1 billion at the box office. It's set up to do it because there's not a whole lot coming out. Like, we're getting into festival season. So it's not a whole lot of competition till maybe October. So perhaps it will if people continue to see it. If you like lampoonish, self-deprecating jokes, of course, Ryan can deliver those. I liked the post-credit scenes, the first one in particular, because it was good reflecting back on how young they were. They looked so young and innocent, and now they're these gigantic movie stars. I thought that was a really good to X-Men. It was a good dedication to the X-Men. I love seeing Halle Berry as Storm. It would have been so sweet if she showed up in this movie. I was hoping. The final post-credit scene was so funny because Deadpool just torched him at the end. Was just really funny. I had a good time the second time. First time, I did not. Listen, there's really no other options but to see Deadpool and Wolverine. I mean, you got Hugh Jackman and Channing Tatum and Wesley Snipes. Like, what else can you do? Here's the thing. If you like the Wayans brothers, their spoof or parody of the entire horror genre, then I think you'll like this, because this is what Ryan Reynolds is doing. He is lampooning, parodying, spoofing superhero films, including himself, while entertaining you. And if you're open to that kind of self-deprecating, uncensored humor, then you'll like this. He breaks the fourth wall and speaks directly to the viewer to unbuckle, because he is unapologetic in this self-deprecating humor. And the last thing I'll say is this has a really good soundtrack. The soundtrack is so good. They've licensed some really good hits that pair exceptionally well with the scenes. Like a Prayer and It Ain't No Lie, Baby, Bye 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 is going to be like on my mind for at least 3 weeks. I'm going to be breaking out into song because not only was it in the trailers, but it is throughout the movie, and it's very clicky. So I'll be probably singing those randomly for the next 3 weeks, and you likely will too. The soundtrack is really good. All in all, if you're going to see this film in the theater, I suggest you see it on the biggest screen you can find, Dolby or IMAX. That's how I saw it. I liked my second viewing better because the energy of the audience was there. They were there to have a good time and did. And so that experience, or sharing it with a crowd that is excited about the film, contributes to the emotionality and the fun time you have watching it. At any rate, Deadpool and Wolverine is in theaters now.